semuanya, saya Danti, mahasiswa Fakultas Peternakan Universitas Samratulangi. Video kali ini akan membahas mengenai sistem pencernaan ternak babi. Jadi guys, sistem pencernaan pada ternak babi merupakan suatu sistem yang terdiri dari saluran pencernaan dan alat pencernaan, yaitu organ-organ yang bertanggung jawab atas pengambilan, penerimaan, pencernaan, dan penyerapan nutrisi dari bahan pakan, serta pengeluaran bahan pakan yang tidak terabsorpsi melalui anus. Teman-teman semua bisa lihat di sini ada gambar anatomi saluran pencernaan dari ternak babi. Kita masuk ke alat pencernaan. Yang pertama ada mulut. Jadi mulut itu terdiri dari gigi, lidah, dan kelenjar ludah. Berfungsi sebagai tempat mengunyah dan mencampur makanan dengan air liur yang mengandung enzim amilase untuk memulai pencernaan karbohidrat. Selanjutnya ada kerongkongan atau esofagus. Jadi esofagus ini merupakan saluran penghubung antara mulut dan lambung. Esofagus berfungsi menggerakkan makanan ke lambung dengan gerakan peristaltik. Yang ketiga ada lambung. Jadi lambung ini merupakan suatu ruang besar di mana pakan dicampur dengan asam klorida dan enzim-enzim pencernaan. Ekskresi asam klorida dari dan untuk lambung itu sendiri. Karenanya, struktur lambung harus sedemikian rupa sehingga tidak bisa dicerna dalam lambung tersebut. Kemudian ada usus halus. Jadi usus halus ini dia memiliki panjang kira-kira 14 sampai 15 kali panjang badan atau sekitar 20 sampai 25 meter serta kapasitasnya sekitar 23 liter tergantung pada umur dan bobot badan babi. Usus halus terdiri dari duodenum, jejunum, dan ileum. Untuk duodenum, dia berfungsi untuk menerima enzim dari pankreas dan empedu dari hati untuk memecah lemak, karbohidrat, dan protein. Untuk jejunum dan ileum, dia berfungsi untuk menyerap nutrisi seperti asam amino, glukosa, asam lemak, dan vitamin. Kemudian ada usus besar, di mana usus besar ini terdiri dari 3 bagian, yaitu kolon, sekum, dan rektum, dengan panjang keseluruhan berkisar 7,5 meter dengan kapasitas sekitar 26 liter, tergantung dari umur dan bobot badan. Usus besar menjadi tempat fermentasi sisa pakan oleh mikroba dan penyerapan air, berfungsi membentuk feses dan menyerap beberapa vitamin hasil fermentasi, misalnya vitamin K. Organ pembantu pada sistem pencernaan itu yang pertama ada gigi dan lidah, yang kedua ada empedu, yang ketiga ada hati, dan yang keempat ada pankreas. Organ pembantu pada sistem pencernaan itu yang pertama ada gigi dan lidah, yang kedua ada empedu, yang ketiga ada hati, dan yang keempat ada pankreas.
Over the digestive system. So remember, where does the digestive system start? In the mouth. So let's look at the mouth. So when we're looking at digestive structures, appreciate we've got the oral cavity here. We have teeth, which play a role in digestion, again for mechanical digestion, that breaking down. We have the hard palate here. This is important because the tongue actually pushes up against that and creates our food bolus. And you can see the soft palate here. This is the muscle that's going to help with our swallowing and also help prevent food from going up into the nasal cavity. So we've got soft palate here. We have the tongue, which plays a major role in forming our food bolus. And what we can see here are our salivary glands. So remember, we have parotid salivary glands, sublingual salivary glands, and submandibular salivary glands. Additionally, as we form this food bolus, so food comes into this area and we are going to mash it up. We're going to be secreting saliva that will help digest carbs chemically and moisten the bolus. Then we're going to want to swallow. We're going to move our food bolus back into this area. And this little flap right here, this is my epiglottis, and this is actually going to cover the trachea so that when I swallow, the food is actually going to go back behind this and posterior into the esophagus. And then the esophagus, well, it goes into the oropharynx and then laryngopharynx and then the esophagus here. And the esophagus you can actually see running posterior to the trachea right here. So orientation, here's my larynx, here's my trachea, here's my esophagus. So if I'm going to label these structures, I would label this as my oral cavity, and my esophagus, I can put this right here. So anything that you see posterior to the trachea, we're probably looking at esophagus. And remember, the esophagus is a transport structure, so really through peristalsis, we're going to move food down to what structure? The stomach. Good. So now we're going to move our esophagus extends down here through the thoracic cavity into the abdominal cavity, and we're going to get to the stomach, which is over here on the left, and that is this large structure right here. Additionally, this is not a digestive structure, but this is the spleen. This is one of the unique structures to in some of our mammals. This is different than humans. It's elongated on the left side. In humans, it's shorter and more compact. So that's the spleen right here. This is the stomach. And remember what's happening in the stomach. We have chemical digestion. We have mechanical digestion, the turning of the stomach. Remember, the stomach has 3 layers. So we have the inner oblique, we have the inner circular, and then the outer longitudinal. So here is our stomach here. When we look below the stomach, if you lift the stomach up, we should be able to see our pancreas. And if you look right here, and you might have to just break down this connective tissue here, just over this tan structure. Sometimes in these pigs, this will actually be a little bit on the dark side, kind of black, but here is my pancreas. And why is this so close to the stomach? What does the stomach empty into? The stomach is going to empty into the duodenum. So if you follow the outflow of the stomach, we've got our pyloric sphincter here, this firm structure, and you can feel that with your fingers. And then we go down into the duodenum. This is the first part of the small intestine. And I'm going to put a little marker there for you so you can see that. But remember, our pancreas is emptying into the duodenum, and stomach is emptying into the duodenum. So I'm going to put my little pancreatic marker right here. Okay. Additionally, we have some very important accessory structures in this area as well. What is this big dark thing over here that sits just under the diaphragm and mostly to the right? That is the liver. And of course, that is going to contribute bile to this digestive process. Bile is stored in a structure which is typically on the right side and just underneath, so inferior to this area of the liver. And this sac-like structure right here, if you can see that, that is the gallbladder. So gallbladder is contributing bile. Liver has a connection to the cystic duct, so you've got hepatic duct coming down, cystic duct coming down. They're going to merge and form our common bile duct, and then the pancreatic duct will come in and merge with that for our hepatopancreatic duct, and they all empty into this structure right here, the duodenum. So you guys should be familiar with this anatomy as you move forward. You can actually, here's our duodenum right here. As you move forward, you should be able to put together the chemical digestion and the mechanical digestion that's happening. So there's our duodenum. And our duodenum extends down, and then it's going to turn and loop up, and then it's going to turn into these small intestines here. All this is small intestine. So we have a couple of labels for this. You can label this as small intestine. And it is very hard to determine which part is jejunum and which part is ileum. So you could also label these as jejunum and ileum. Now, if I really wanted to be technical, to find the ileum, I'm going to find the part that's emptying into the large intestine, right? So we're going to move over here and look for that piece here. Yeah, it's very hard to find the entry point of that. But what we can see here, the beginning of the large intestine, is this blind-ended pouch. In humans, this is very small and almost indistinguishable from the rest of the large intestine. But in our in a lot of our mammals, this is extended and elongated, and this is what we call the cecum. So this is another difference in our fetal pig from humans, as we have this elongated and enlarged cecum. In the human body, we also have an extension off of the cecum, which is called the appendix. And we don't see that here on our fetal pig's cecum. So again, another difference. And then from the cecum, we're going to move into the large intestine. And when in the pigs, you see how this looks very spiral and it loops around. This is all large intestine for the pig, and we call this the spiral colon. So it's going to get two labels. It's large intestine and spiral colon. This is another difference for our humans in that we do not have a spiral colon. Remember, we have an ascending, transverse, descending colon, and then that curves into the sigmoid colon, and then we empty into the rectum. If you want to, it's hard to follow this large intestine here, but we can actually see the descending large intestine here, and then that's going into our rectum, and then of course the anus is out here. So you can see rectum here, and then the anus is back there. Okay, so that is our digestive system. Again, you should know from mouth to anus the structures. You should know what is involved in the digestive process versus chemical digestion, mechanical digestion, what secretions are occurring, what hormones might be regulating this, and of course have an appreciation for the neural processes that also regulate these structures.